Well, here I am at the beautiful Jersey Shore, more specifically Highland Heights, New Jersey. I'm out here on my bike with you guys to say hello. I'm still not feeling the best, but starting to feel a little bit better. But I'm just so thankful. I asked God on the trail, if you're gonna strike me down sick, if he could wait till I got off the trail first, and that's exactly what he did. So 2 days after getting off the trail, I started getting a headache. So now I'm dealing with it now, but I still can't believe I did the trail. I still can't believe I'm back from it. So welcome to the Big Willie Dogs gear review. And like I said in prior videos, I don't know much about gear, nor do I care to know much about it. I really don't care, but I'll tell you what worked for me at least. I know it's been a while since I put out a video, but I've been kind of ill the last couple weeks, since getting off the trail. I've been suffering from a lot of headaches, but I am going to see a specialist, like an infectious disease control. My Lyme's came back negative again, but it's a possibility it could be something other than Lyme's, but anyway, I'll get back to that, another video if anything occurs. But when I started off, I wasn't like really the most prepared guy, just something spontaneous I wanted to do. I went to my REI and had them geared me up for the trail. I told them I was a thru hiker. So I relied totally on them. Now, with a lot of the stuff that they gave me, I ended up switching out by the time I left Georgia. Like most of it was gone already. But they did do well on some things, like the big three. I think they did really well for me, the big three. And the first ones being the backpack. They gave me this Hyperlight 3400, I believe it was. This thing did really, really well for me. It's super lightweight. I mean, it feels like a paper bag. It's so light. And it stayed dry, all through Georgia, North Carolina through those rains. It only started leaking when I got to New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, we got torrential, horrendous, record-breaking rainfalls there. And there, things started to leak with this bag. But, also the terrain got really bad, so I was sliding and falling down a lot on the backpack itself. It could have created a little hole. I could have made a little hole in it or something. But overall, I did like this. It did really, really well for me. Like these hip pockets, things got wet in there. But I like the hip pockets because they look small, but it actually is really big. They fit a lot of things in there. And you get a lot of stuff off the straps here, like, the water bottle holder and the hand sanitizer. So, overall, this thing, it worked really well. It did. Like I said, only in New Hampshire it started falling apart. Also in the big three, the tent. I did the Big Agnes Copper Spur 2 or something like that. This thing, is a beast. Never leaked or anything. I liked it a lot. A lot of people I was on the trail with, like Pat Townsend, he had like a Z-Pax or a single wall tent. That thing was really light and really tiny. And I kind of like those single wall tents. You can use them as a pillow when you're in the shelter at night. So this thing was a little bit awkward, for carrying, you know what I mean? But I think this whole thing's like 3.5 pounds or 3 pounds or something. But it's a great tent, it really is. I don't know how it compares to those Z-Pack ones. They look pretty good. But this thing was really good, and it had a lot of room in it for one person too. These are the poles here. And the other thing REI gave me that I liked a lot was a sleeping bag. Now I started February 15th in Georgia, so it was freezing cold. And this is the REI Magna 15, I believe, 15 degree. This thing did exceptionally well. It really did. And it weighs nothing too. It weighs really, really light. When it got warmer out, I think I was in maybe Glasgow or Waynesboro, Virginia. I sent that back home, and I got to see the Summit one. It's like a 50-degree bag. This thing worked pretty well too. This thing weighs like nothing, and it goes like to a size of a softball when you crunch it all up. So this thing did pretty well too. So the big three, I was impressed with REI. One thing REI did that I got rid of, they put all my stuff in the backpack in these Sea to Summit bags. I ended up getting rid of these because it just made, things didn't fit right in the bag, when you put everything in here. And I eventually just put everything in this contractor's bag. And the contractor's bag is great. Nothing penetrates it. Even, in those tremendously bad storms in New Hampshire and Maine, everything was dry in this bag, even though my backpack was leaking at the time. So this contractor bag is, I think, is way better than all those little bags that they sell you that are expensive too. So this thing was great. My food bag, I think this is like a Hilltop one. It's one of the bigger ones. It's got the bigger bottom. This thing performed, flawlessly, of course. I had on the pads, I started off with this thermal rest. It's like Neo-Air or something like that. It has a high heat rating though, 4.2 thermal rating. And this thing did really well. It's super light too. But the funny thing is when I started sending it back, thinking about sending it back, it started leaking. And so I don't know what's up with that. But I started off with this REI sleeping pad, which was, it inflates really easily. It was comfortable, but it's a little bit heavy. That's why I got the thermal rest. But the thermal rest was a pain to blow up, to tell you the truth. It took a lot of blow ups. Somewhere in between that time, I got rid of the pads and I went with this. And what did I do with the other pad? Oh, here it is. So I ended up finishing with the Nemo. A little bit heavier than thermal rest, but it did its job well. Because at that time, I was only using this after the thermal rest. I was trying to save space in my bag and weight or whatever. But it's just really uncomfortable. You really want, I really wanted a pad. But this thing was great. When I took a break, because the thing with my backpack, it has no straps to carry things on the bottom like a lot of backpacks do. Like a lot of people you see carry these things down here. I had to carry mine, unfortunately, in the outer pocket like this. And the downside is that when I was in vegetation, like a tree branch would catch in between here and pull back on it. So if I was climbing up a rock and a branch would catch it and pull me back down, it got kind of like dangerous sometimes. And actually, one time in Kinsman Notch, I was going up boulders and I hooked a branch on here and I lost my center balance of gravity and I just fell backwards and onto a rock. But, the backpack saved me because of all this padding. But my bag of corn chips exploded like a bomb. That didn't fare out so well. But this thing was nice to have. It was kind of a pain in the butt though, but I love taking breaks and just laying down on it because you got to have one of these things. I have this little one too. I started off with this one. This is just like a little sit pad. Because the Appalachian Trail is always wet. And even when you think something's dry, when you go to sit down on it, like say like a log or the ground, you go to sit down on it, your ass is gonna get all wet. So this alleviates all that stuff. Just having one of these. I carried both of these. I know, I think I might get rid of this maybe and keep this or one or the other. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever be hiking again, so I really don't care, but let me get rid of that. And, I got this for water filtration. I was a little bit different than everyone. This was the Platypus, it was called. And this thing was a beast. I've had it since Georgia. I didn't clean it that much, but it was real tough. Like some people had Sawyers, which, I know are good, but I heard of some people having to go buy new ones because their O-ring cracked or something. When it got cold out, they would take their Sawyers and they put it in their pants or something. The only thing I put in my pants are things that vibrate. So this doesn't qualify for that. I just left it out in the cold, out in the air. I didn't care. And but I never had a problem with this thing. But by the time I got to Maine, I was just drinking out of the stream. I didn't care. I got lazy, but no problem there. I had a few of these different like pillow type of things. You blow them up. But the problem is like late at night, they'll shoot out from underneath your head and go into the other person's bed or shoot out into the out of the shelter, depending on which end you slept on. So these are okay. I mean, if I had a way to secure it onto the air mattress, that would have been much better. I'll have to figure that out. I started off with Crocs, but I sent them home because they were a little bit, I think, bulky to carry around. And the guy told me, he's like, well, just use your hiking shoes. When you get to camp, just unlace them and just walk around camp with your hiking shoes. But I soon realized and learned that when I got to camp, the one thing I didn't want to be in was those trail runner shoes. I wanted out of them, and I wanted out of them for good. So I ended up buying these things. They're like little sandals, but they were okay. They did the job. They're a lot less bulky than the Crocs. But what I didn't like about these things was the price. These things were like $90. They're probably like $5. I mean, you talk about a ripoff, like up your ass. I don't know why I bought them, but I ended up going back to the Crocs anyway. I ended up going back to these things. I sent them home, and I only sent them home because they were $90. I don't know why. I should just throw them out somewhere, but I ended up finishing the trail with these for the last half. These were great. As far as a cooking cup and stove, I had the jet boil stove, and I had this little cup. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it did its job. That was okay. What else do I have here? I used to have this. I kept my wallet in this thing. I used to have it on the shoulder pad, but it got all wet. You know, it didn't keep anything dry. But I just used to keep my wallet in and put it in the backpack, so my wallet was easy to find. When I saw this, I knew my wallet was in it. Let's see, trekking poles. I had different ones than everyone else. I don't know. I was just talking about trekking poles, and next thing I knew on my Facebook account, I started getting all ads for trekking poles. And this came up, Hiker Hunger Outfitters is called. These are aluminum ones. I didn't get carbon ones because I figured I'd break them anyway. So I got the aluminum ones, and these things are a beast, man. They're a little bit heavy, but man, it saved me countless times from falling on my face, on my arms. It saved me from twisting my ankle, like a lot of trekking poles do. But these things were really solid, and I got them caught in rocks, and you know they would bend, but you know they never really bent or broke. My only complaint is with this company is the tips. They don't sell tips with them. They tell you got to buy outside. They don't even know what fits on them. So you had to guess. And like these ones don't really fit on there well. These are Lecky ones. But other than that, they're really solid. But you know the tips can become a problem for them. And what else did I have? Oh, you know, for charging your iPhone, I had the battery bank I kept with me. It's like 1 pound. It's like a 20,000 one. It's a little bit heavy, but you got to have it. And in the beginning, it lasted like 6 charges or 6 days. Towards the end, it was lasting around 4. And here's my little headlamp, Petzl it's called, or something really light. This did well. It did really well. No complaints. And what else do I have here? My footprint for the tent. You know, I had the Tyvek. It did well. No complaints. Sometimes it smells, it gets wet, you don't realize it, but it's not bad now. What else do I have? Here's more of these pillows. Here's an air one. This is a pillow, I was so desperate. You know, this one you stick your clothes in it and it makes a pillow, but the zipper broke on it, so that's garbage. And what else do I have? I had some wipes. I carried wipes as a luxury item. Not that big one though, mine were much smaller. Here's something I really highly recommend. You won't use it that much, but I'm telling you, when you need it, you're gonna need it. And it's a little head net. You know, you stick it over. And boy, I tell you, when I got to New Hampshire, and especially Maine, man, like you go to bed, if you're in a lean-to, you know, you wore this going to bed. Very, very important. And what else? I wore some knee braces, compression sleeves. They were real good. My first aid kit, the only thing I really ever used in my first aid kit was tweezers because I got deer ticks stuck on me in Virginia. So the only thing I used was the tweezers. But I have chapstick in there. That's really important. It's not considered the first aid kit, but chapstick was important. I had that. And there's something in, and here's my hygiene bag. Now this is something that I'm going to tell you you're going to need. So I'm going to act like an expert here for a second. And you may never need it, but if you do need it, and you don't have it, you're going to be off trail. You're going to be off trail. So trust me, listen to me because it happened to me. I had this, I went out with this Body Glide. I had it in Georgia. And when I got to like, I don't know, end of Georgia, it's like, I never used it and I was trying to cut down the weight. I got rid of mine. You know, I went to a hostel, I threw it out. And sure thing, you know, I mean, I remember I went to Damascus, hiked out of Damascus like 18 miles, and then it hit me. You know, I got chafing in my butt, and it was like torture. I mean, it was devastating. I couldn't even hike anymore. And, you know, my good friend Pat Townsend, he had some. And you may say, oh, that's gross, you're using another man's Body Glide, but I'm telling you what, you have no choice. And but what he did, you know, he got floss, he cut off the top end of it, then he cut off another piece, and he put it on my palm, and I was able to rub it on me. So never, I mean, Gold Bond makes their own version of it. A lot of people have Gold Bond, but never hike without this, because you can hike with sore feet, sore ankles, sore knees. If you get body chafing in the wrong place, you can't hike. I'm telling you, it's like it's like razor blades cutting into you. This is very, very, very important. And as far as the rest of the, I got this little tiny Swiss Army knife and, Q-tips and crap, I guess. And for my, I got these ear pods. Now these are for the iPhone. These are the wired ones. They come with the phone when you buy it. They're like cheap ones. You get them at Walmart. But the reason why I got wired ones because I didn't want to have to charge the wireless AirPods. They're really nice, but they only last like 6 hours. Then they're gonna be dead. And then I got to use my battery bank to charge them when I really need my battery bank just to charge my phone. But I carry 2 of these. So that's one thing I learned. I don't know what YouTube channel I saw that on, but the one hiker, he made a great point. There was a saying I want you to listen to me say. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Meaning, if you have something that's really important. So for me, reading glasses. Very, very, very important. I can't read without them. I can't see my phone. I can't see the Far Out app. I have to have reading glasses on me. Well, reading glasses is something that breaks very easily. And I actually lost them. They pop out of your pocket sometimes. So for that, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So I always had 2 pairs of reading glasses. I kept one in the backpack and one in my pocket. If I lost the one in my pocket for some reason, I knew I had the one in my backpack as a reserve. But that was the time I knew I had to get to town and get another pair, so I had 2 of them. Because if you lose both of them, then I can't read anything. So whatever's really important to you, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Always remember that. Always have 2 like reading glasses or whatever it is. I always had 2 of these earbuds too, because these ones break easily. So I always had 2 of them. And I had some sock liners. I used them a lot, especially in the first half. But on the second half, I just used the darn tough socks. I didn't need anything. And that's basically about it. I had what do I got here? A little one of those ultralight D-rings. I call them D-rings. People call them something else, like carbon ear queers or something like that. I have no idea. But in the Army, we call them D-rings. I don't know why people got to make it complicated, call it some long word. But I hung my Crocs off these on the back. My Crocs kind of swung around a little bit. But and that's basically it. I can't remember if I'm forgetting anything much. Because, when I ended my hike, me and Vegas went through our bags. We were like, oh, what can we get rid of? What can we put in the hiker box? At the hostel in Maine. But that's basically it, I think. Yeah, so I'll close it out here. Give me any questions, and I'll answer your questions down below. Thank you very much.